Hello and welcome to Byju's IAS. Let's get started and look into our daily quiz. Let's look into the first question. Consider the following statements. The State Election Commissioner is to be appointed by the Governor. The State Election Commission is an extra constitutional authority that conducts elections to rural and urban local bodies and legislative councils in the state. Which of the above statements is or correct? The answer to this is one only. Why? That is because when you look into the second question, there are two issues in the second option. What is it? One is the State Election Commission is not an extra constitutional body, but instead it is a constitutional authority. What is this extra constitutional authority? Let's say, for example, we have the Union Public Service Commission, or let's say, for example, the Election Commission of India. Do they have the mention in the Constitution of India? Yes, they do have the mention in it. So all those bodies or authorities which are mentioned in the Constitution of India is what is called as the constitutional authorities. But let's say there is one of the authorities, or let's say there is one of the body that is created because of the law passed by the parliament or by an executive resolution. That is what is called as extra constitutional authority. When it comes to the State Election Commission, we have one of the important articles that happens to be Article 243K, and we have Article 243ZA, where both of these articles speak about establishment of the State Election Commission. So what do we have is the 73rd and the 74th constitutional amendment, which created these two articles, which basically ensures that there is a body called as the State Election Commission. Remember, when it comes to the State Election Commission, yes, they do conduct elections for the rural and urban local bodies, but that is not the same when it comes to the Legislative Council, because when it comes to the Legislative Council, it is conducted by the Election Commission of India and it is not by the State Election Commission. Why have we taken this practice question? Because of the reference given in this article. When we look into one of the characteristics, you consider the State Election Commission and the Election Commission of India. Both their powers are identical to each other. This was reaffirmed by the Supreme Court of India back in the year 2006 when it comes to Kishan Singh Tomar versus the Municipal Corporation of City of Ahmedabad. So when it comes to the powers, they are identical in nature. So in 2006, we have the Supreme Court which emphasized that these two constitutional authorities enjoy the same powers. Why are we discussing this? When we look into this particular article, there is a controversy that has surfaced in the state of Goa. What was the major controversy? We have one of the law secretaries. Who is the law secretary? He is the one who is working for the government. He is the one who is working for the state. So what it means is, whenever there is the appointment of the election commissioner, this person or this individual will have to be independent of the government. But what did the government do? They appointed the law secretary or a person who is working for the government who is not independent as the election commissioner for that particular state. Henceforth, this particular petition was filed in the Bombay High Court. It ultimately landed up in the Supreme Court of India, and now the Supreme Court of India has clearly said that since the State Election Commissioner and the Election Commissioner have to be independent and they should not be the bureaucrat who is working for the government. So the Supreme Court in this particular case has said that under the constitutional mandate, it is the duty of the state not to interfere with the functioning of the electoral process. So when we have the law secretary who is appointed by the government, and when this person becomes the election commissioner, he would not be independent, and as a result, independent elections may not take place in the state of Goa. And as a result, what we have is the Supreme Court which has gone ahead and said that if there is a secretary, if there is a government employee, additional responsibilities with respect to the election commission should not be given to that secretary or the government employee. So the Supreme Court has directed that state should appoint someone who is independent as the election commissioner along the length and breadth of the country, and that person should not be having any other charge, is what the Supreme Court has said. So basically, in case there is a government employee who is already working for the government, who already has a designated position, that person should not be given the role of the election commissioner, but instead it should be an individual official who is independent, where the government will not interfere with the affairs of the election, is what is this article all about. Now let's look into the next practice question. Which of the following statements is or correct? The Chief Information Commissioner and Information Commissioners at the central and the state level will hold office for a term of 5 years. The salary of the state Chief Information Commissioner and State Information Commissioners at the state level will be equivalent to the salary paid to the election commissioners and the Chief Secretary to the state government. Which of the statements given here are correct? Since it is asking for the correct statement, the answer to this is none. Why? Confused? When you look into the Lakshmikant textbook or any of the textbooks which is not updated, what you will have is that you will feel that both these statements are correct. But we had the Amendment Act with respect to right to information. According to the amendment that happened in the year 2019, what do we have is some changes introduced into the original act. So when we look into the original act of 2005, yes, the Chief Information Commissioner and the Information Commissioner at the central and the state level will hold an office for a period of about 5 years. But this was changed by the Amendment Act, where the amendment now removes this particular provision and states that the central government will be able to define the term of office for the Chief Information Commissioner as well as for the Information Commissioners. So it is no more 5 years. This will be prescribed by the government. Apart from this, when we look into the quantum of the salary, so what we have under the original act of 2005 is that, as given in the practice question, it was equivalent to the election commissioner and to the chief secretary. But with the amended act, it clearly goes on to say that it will again be determined by the central government. So looking at the amendment, both the options are wrong, and as a result, the answer to this is none. What is this article speaking about? This article here says that Rajasthan Information Commission penalizes 5 officials for negligence. What do we mean by it? Let's say, for example, when we look into the right to information, let's say I am one of the person who wants to find out some information about the government activity or about a public official. So what do? I file an application, and this application will be given to the government in that particular region. So this particular information officer or the public information officer will have to give this information within a prescribed timeline. If this information is not given, that person, the public information officer, can be penalized, which is what is done under this article, where the Rajasthan State Information Commission will do right now is to impose a fine on all these individuals, where these fines will be recovered from the salaries of the officials. This will further enhance transparency and accountability when it comes to the right to information. Now let's look into the next practice question. With reference to prompt corrective action framework, which of the following statements is or correct? Banks with weak financial metrics are to be kept under the close watch by RBI. PCA is intended to help alert the regulator as well as investors and depositors if a bank is heading for trouble. The PCA framework allows a regulator to place specific restrictions like stopping payment of dividends or setting up new bank branches. Which of the statements are correct? The answer to this is 1, 2 and 3. Why have we taken this practice question? Because of the reference given in this article. So what is this prompt corrective action? Basically, this is one of the frameworks where, in case there is a bank which is not able to keep up to its promises, it is not able to maintain and sustain certain parameters when it comes to the banking sector. Let's say, for example, the capital ratio or the asset quality or the profitability with respect to that bank. In such a case, the RBI will immediately step in and will ensure that there is implementation of what is called as prompt corrective action. So what is this corrective action? Just because the banking system of that particular bank is not working as per the prescribed standards, there has to be some corrective measures that needs to be taken. That is what is called as prompt corrective action. The minute it is taken, what are the actions that will be taken by RBI? Let's say special audits will be conducted with respect to the banks. Restructuring operations will be initiated by the Reserve Bank of India. There will be activation of a recovery plan. Why recovery plan? Because there is no profitability, there is increasing cases of the non-performing assets. What we require is an alternative strategy so that profits can be taken up in that particular banking system. Apart from this, superseding the bank board of directors, where the management will be replaced with a new type of management. These are the corrective programs and action plans which can be initiated by the Reserve Bank of India. During this particular period, banks will not be allowed to renew or access some of the costly deposits or take steps to increase the fee based income. That is because they are put under the prompt corrective action, and at the same time they will not be allowed to enter new lines of businesses. RBI will also impose restrictions on the bank borrowings from the interbank market as well, so that once this system is fine, once this bank is completely fine, all these restrictions will be completely eliminated gradually over a period of time. This is what is called as the prompt corrective action. Now let's look into the next practice question. Which of the following statements is or correct? India is the largest producer of cement in the world. The cement industries have been categorized as highly polluting industries by the Central Pollution Control Board. Which of the statements are correct? The answer to this is 2 only. Why? That is because India is not the largest producer of cement in the world. As part of an assignment, you guys will have to look into which is the country which is the largest producer when it comes to the cement. Basic Google search, find out which is it and put it on our comment section answering which is the largest producer of cement in the world. And India is not the largest producer, and it is the second largest producer. When we look into the second option, yes, it is right. That is because when you look into this particular sector, we have the Central Pollution Control Board, which has previously said that this industry, that is the cement industry, is one of the highly polluting industries. Why? The major pollutants as released by the cement industries basically include the particulate matter, it includes carbon monoxide, it includes sulfur dioxide, and it also includes the nitrogen dioxide as well. Kindly remember, this can be a very important question when it comes to your preliminary examination. There can be a question which can ask you which are the pollutants which will be released from the cement industries. Do remember, all these pollutants are released from the cement industry. Why have we taken this practice question? Because of the reference given in this article. Now let's look into the previous year question. The Fortaleza Declaration, recently in the news, is related to the affairs of, is it ASEAN, BRICS, OECD, or WTO? The answer to this is BRICS. This happens to be a previous year question. Why have we taken this practice question? Because of the reference to the BRICS. Now let's look into the fact of the day. The fact of the day that we are speaking about is called as 2001 F032. What is this 2001 F032? Basically, this happens to be a near Earth asteroid. What is happening here? This happens to be the largest asteroid which is actually predicted to pass by our planet on March 21st. Since it is passing close by to our planet, there is a prediction that we would be in a much better position to understand what is this asteroid all about. So during this particular passing of the asteroid, the scientific community would be in a much better position to understand the asteroid size and the albedo and a rough idea of what the composition of this particular asteroid is. And at the same time, whenever there is an asteroid which is passing, what happens? There is sunlight. The sunlight can hit the asteroid. So because there is this asteroid, it may also have some composition of the minerals as well. So when there is hitting of the sunlight, some might get absorbed, some might also be reflected as well. Depending on the absorption and reflection, the scientific community would also be in a position to understand what are the minerals that might be possessed in that particular asteroid. This happens to be the significant factor when it comes to the studying of the asteroid. So kindly remember, when it comes to 2001 FO32, this happens to be an asteroid which will be passing close by to the Earth. It is this that we have to understand in reference to this article. So this is it for today. Thank you for watching. All the best.